Thank you, Queen. Welcome back, everyone. In this session, we will talk more about becoming an effective communicator. Um, Communication includes the things we say as well as the things we choose not to. Let's learn how to be more effective at both. So in this session, after this session is over, we will be able to listen the difference between good and bad communication. Sorry, list the difference between good and bad communication and describe the way to build stronger communication skills and explain the impact of home and school communication. There's a small activity in the chat box. You can share with us one of your strengths as a communicator and one way you would like to grow or to improve as a communicator. Hey, I would like to be giving more feedback. Yeah. Yes, then it's important. You give your feedback about everything. Sometimes we can't, and that's my area of, I think that's my area to grow to, that if I have um feedback, either like negative or positive, I should share it, but sometimes I don't. To share our in other voice. Yeah. Okay. So in this slide, we're talking about being clear plus simple equal effective. So effective communication means each stage of the process is as clear and simple as possible. Be clear about why you are communicating, what you want to communicate, who your message is for, and how you can communicate most effectively, method and means. Consider your audience. When you communicate with someone, you have to consider their age, their cultural background, and their life experience and needs and values. That would help you to deliver your message in the most positive way possible. Okay, Vanessa, you can go ahead and start with your part.
Thank you, Sharuk. Okay, so we're going to move on to communication skills and strategies. So can I have either a thumbs up or a thumbs down on your guys' video, or on the top with the little emoji from the Zoom feature? I always think before I speak. Can I get a show of hands? I always think before I speak, either yes or no. Okay, Tom says yes. Neelam says yes. Monica says no. I'm with you, Monica. Okay, cool. All right, thank you, Lizanie. Okay, so it says beginning with the end in mind. So we have 2 points in bold, and it says if our goal is to be understood, we need to have first, we need to have information that is valuable and accurate if we're going to communicate any kind of message. Then we need a clear idea about our message, and then language appropriate for our audience. So anytime you're delivering any kind of message, it is different with every person you encounter. You have to tweak your message because everybody communicates differently and everybody receives messages differently. So that means we speak, but we also listen. Take time to understand the other person's perspective, are aware of our nonverbal cues, use active listening, pay attention to verbal and nonverbal reactions, and ask questions. So communication is transactional. It is not a one-way street. So in order for you to have effective communication and for there to be a transactional conversation, there has to be on two ends. People have to do some work. So in order to communicate your message effectively, you have to give important information, valuable, accurate, clear. But when we are receiving that message, we also have to actively listen, ask questions if we have any concerns or miscommunications. Okay, thank you, Liz Denny. Okay, so next, be self-aware and consider your body language. Self-awareness is the conscious knowledge of one's own character, feelings, motives, and desires. Self-awareness allows you to understand how others may perceive you. Self-aware people pay attention to their body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice. So when we convey a message, it is not only the words that are coming out of our mouths, but the tone and how you're trying to say your message, the way you are presenting your body language. There's a lot of factors that go into the message that we're trying to convey and how we're trying to say it. So we have a quick video that Liz Denny's going to go ahead and play
Alice
for us.
works at a local department store. She spends most of her day interacting with customers and coworkers. There's a lot of talking involved, but there's also another form of nonverbal communication that's being used just as often. Body language. Body language is the process of communicating through nonverbal signals. It includes things like our posture, facial expressions, gestures, and more. The meanings of these all vary from culture to culture, but we instinctively read body language and interpret it as some expression of moods, feelings, or intentions. So, in Alice's case, even before she speaks, she may be communicating all kinds of things to customers. For example, if her arms are crossed and she's avoiding eye contact, customers may not find her to be very approachable. However, Alice could be in a friendly mood, even though her body language suggests otherwise. And this isn't necessarily a conscious choice that she's made. This could just be how she habitually presents herself. But if Alice is aware of these habits, she can work on improving her body language. Changing your habits can be difficult, but if you take time to pause and check in with yourself, you can start to notice them and adjust things to become a better nonverbal communicator. This awareness can also be applied to reading others' body language. Let's say Alice notices that her coworker is unusually quiet, has his body turned away from her, and is slouched over. She may pick up that he's upset, or that there's an unspoken issue at hand. Depending on Alice's relationship with him, she may want to give him some space, or ask if anything's wrong. Being aware of the various aspects of body language can make all the difference in how people perceive you and how you perceive them. Be aware of how you present yourself, and you can say a lot without speaking.
Thank you, Liz Denny. Okay, like how the video kind of stated, the most important part isn't only, like I said, how you say it, it's how you present yourself. I have the same problem as Alice, the whole crossing your arms thing. And like they said in the video, it's not always that you're being closed off or that's what you're trying to show people, but sometimes it could just be habit. So we have to be very conscious about our body language when we are communicating, and it is a daily thing. We may be good communicators, but there's always something we can work on, and it's very important to be self-aware. So it says, think about it. How do you want people to see you? So on the daily, just I notice that I speak with my eyes before I even open my mouth too. So that's one thing I actively work on when I hear stuff. Sometimes, try to react internally instead of, with my face. So next slide, please, Liz Denny. Thank you. And says, Develop your active listening skills. Active listening is making a conscious effort to hear not only the words a person is saying, but trying to understand the total message. Listening this way can impact the quality of your relationships, increase productivity, minimize conflict, and allow you to effectively influence others. To become a better active listener, you have to pay close attention, show that you are listening, provide feedback, don't interrupt and defer judgment, and respond appropriately. So as you can see, there's a lot of factors that come into play when we not only being an effective communicator, but being an active listener, because if you want to be an effective communicator, you also have to learn how to be an active listener. It is a lot of different factors, as you can see. So as long as we're trying to be conscious and doing most of these things, paying close attention, you know, your eye contact, very important to not interrupt. As long as we're trying to be conscious and trying our best every day to improve on these things, then we are only helping ourselves with improving our communication skills. Next, Susani. Thank you. And says, in which of these 5 areas can you grow as an active listener? So if you have any of those, you can go ahead and drop them in the chat below. So in which of these 5 areas can you grow as an active listener? For myself, I would say, maybe providing feedback, because that's kind of subjective. So for me, I have a hard time providing feedback. Someone said 3, provide feedback. Yeah. Sure, pay close attention. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard with all the distractions we have going on. Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Listening. Let me get rid of this chat. Okay. Okay. So ask curious questions. Curious questions allow us to gain understanding and grow as an effective communicator, while signaling to the listener that we are willing to learn and open to expanding the conversation. So try these. How is that working right now? What do you think of this idea? Who can help us understand the issues better? How long have you been feeling this way? There's different ways of asking questions and gaining understanding over situations. Words are very subjective, and it's not always exactly the words what you're saying, but how you're trying to say it in general. So it is important to ask questions, at least to gain an understanding and expand on your conversation so you can understand what's going on. And don't assume you know the answer, rather instead listen and gain understanding, because sometimes we jump to conclusions. I have like the really annoying habit of like finishing people's sentences, like I don't, or maybe just with people that I'm close with, but like it's annoying. Like you have to let people completely say what they're saying before you put any input. So little things like that you don't notice, but when it starts happening a lot, I'm like, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing that. I should change my way of communicating. Next slide. Thank you. Barriers to effective communication. When there is miscommunication, what happened? The audience awareness was missing. There's either information that was confusing or incomplete, too much information, methods or means of communication wasn't ideal, or the listener didn't communicate back. So there's a lot of factors into the whole process of communication, and there's a lot of barriers. But if we both work, not only the communicator but the listener, it makes it a lot easier on both ends. So when a breakdown occurs, try and regroup the conversation, and where did the breakdown occur and what it will take to recover. So we have to be active in this whole process in order to receive good results. So addressing communication barriers takes commitment and attention from everyone. So we all, who wants to argue and to have bad communication? Like none of us do, but I mean, like it's an active thing. So we slip up as people, but as long as we are trying and putting in the effort, it is all possible. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and switch it over to my coworker, Liz Denny. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you. So now we're going to go into homeschool communication. So as parents, our relationship with the school is a long-term one. You know that your kids are gonna be in school for many years, and it's definitely one that is worth investing your time in. So as we discussed, there is a difference between bad communication and good communication, and communication breaks down easily occur. This can be especially true for homeschool communication. So let's spend some time digging deeper on what you should expect from your homeschool relationships and how to build strong relationship, how to build a strong two-way relationship, especially at the homeschool communication. So the first question is, give me a thumbs up or down if you agree with this. When I have a concern about what's happening at school, I know who to talk to. So do you know who to talk to when you have a concern at your school? So give me your reactions, give me a thumbs up or down. Okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah. I'm glad that all of you know who to go to whenever you have a concern. How can you best communicate with your school? You and your child, like I said, will be will be communicating with your school community in the daily basis for like 13 years. So as you know, your child's school experiences is a major factor in his or her college career and success. That clearly makes it important. It makes it an important long-term relationship, and one that is worth investing your time and energy. So make it very strong, as strong as possible, so that way your students can be successful. So how can you communicate best with your school? Well, remember to, first of all, introduce yourself, let yourself be known, share how interested you are in what is happening at school, and communicate regularly. Don't just communicate, when parent-teacher conferences come, make sure that you can communicate with your school all the time, and take the time to understand what is happening. Don't just participate and listen, but and be there, but don't know what's happening. Actually take the time to understand, okay, I participated in the meeting and I want to know what exactly was said. So clarify information that you may be receiving. It's very important to always ask questions and find out about opportunities to help. And we can all help. Sometimes we feel like because we have to speak another language that we cannot help our kids because I don't speak English or I feel uncomfortable, but we can all help, and we can definitely build strong relationships. Participating in one of your school's parent-teacher organization like the PTA is one of the best ways to promote positive parent community involvement. So in the chat, what else can you think of? What else can you think of, like, to get involved? If you can put it in the chat. How can you be more involved? Or other ways that you can get involved? Volunteering in classes. Yeah, that is definitely good. Or on campus. Sure, yes. Thank you for sharing. Attend principal chat coffee sessions. Yeah, for sure. Okay, I think I skipped. Thank you for sharing. Okay. How can you tell when good communication is happening? So good communication is happening when a school community is engaged. So the principal and the administrator welcomes families. I'm sure you visited your school and some of them have welcoming in other languages. That makes other communities feel welcome rather than just being in English, hello, welcome, but I've seen it where there's in other languages. That is one way. Another way is there are programs to connect parents to one another. and there are strategies in place to help parents resolve concerns. There's also teachers, parents, and leaders work together to support students and build community. So effective leaders communicate with clarity, respect, and self-awareness, with the desire to gain understanding by reversing judgment, by reserving judgment and blame, sorry. And if you are experiencing like a situation in your school where communication has not been effective, or you are recovering from a conflict, it is important to remember that effective communication takes practice. So pay attention and keep communicating. How do schools communicate? There are many ways that schools communicate. So some of the, look at the following. Schools communicate through letters, newspapers, emails. I'm sure you get a lot of tons of those. From the principal or teacher, also portals, text, and websites. Nowadays, everything is pretty much text, everything technology. There is also, when you visit the schools, there's signs, banners, and flyers. Your children might be coming home with different flyers with events that are happening at their school or at the district, like this one that you're participating today. There's also automated telephone calls on or regular phone calls. There's back to school night and our open house, and there's parent teacher conferences, which we just had them. Events, festivals, special programs. There's also personal appointments with teachers or administrators. And you can definitely, besides the parent teacher conferences that we have for the elementaries, you have the right to make other appointments at any time that you want with the teachers or the administrators. There's also parent groups who hold meetings like the PTA, SSC, and ELAC. And ELAC is for those who have English learners. So in the chat, what do you find most effective and what could work better? What do you find most effective to communicate? Like, what's the best method of communication? And what could work better for you as parent? Okay, yeah. Automated telephone calls work, text and phone calls. Yes, definitely. Yeah. I feel like text messages for a lot of parents is ideal, because sometimes when you send the emails, maybe some parents, we mostly check our text messages than our emails. So I can definitely see text messages. Our school uses email, phone calls, and newsletters. I think the multiple methods helps because it reaches more people. Yes, definitely. That is true. Okay. Thank you for sharing. When an issue arises, so homeschool communication includes your children too. Their insights and opinions and thoughts are a huge part of homeschool communication. So be sure to be using your communication skills with them too. So make sure that whenever an issue arises, you speak to your child, first of all, and then you get the facts. You meet in person and ask to observe. Don't wait, don't put it aside, or I'll get to it later. Definitely, do it right away. Listen and communicate. And when it's time to address any issue, honor the levels of authority. So it's very important to know where, like I see that a lot of you earlier said that you know where to go when an issue arises. So just as a reminder that whenever there is anything, you need to first go to your teacher, to student's teacher, and then to the counselor, the administration, the office staff, then the principal, and then you take it to the district level. So don't climb the ladder of interference. Instead, get the facts. When necessary, move up the chain of command. Effective communication with your child, creating an environment where open, honest, respectful, two-way communication is the norm. creating an environment where open, honest, respectful, two-way communication is the norm among all family members is one of the best ways to ensure a child's success in school and establishing healthy lifetime habits. So make sure to build strong communications by listening patiently and trying not to interrupt, asking why versus what happened, responding with words that encourage more conversation, using positive language, staying away from put down words. I know sometimes it could be hard because when it comes to your student, you just react right away, but it's definitely important to stay calm and to use positive language and avoiding embarrassing conversations in front of others. So sometimes, like you're in a situation and you just it's kind of normal. It's like that you react right away, but that can create an embarrassing situation for you that you will later regret. So definitely, it's important to try to, stay calm and listen. And yeah. So.
Okay, thank you, Lesdani. We hope you guys have learned something from this presentation on ways to communicate with your school and for your child benefit.